Hello, once again I find myself out on a train. I've got a GWR out of Paddington this morning. I've come out into deepest Oxfordshire and I'm here at Kingham. It's delightful. There are birds chirping in the trees. It's almost Gloucestershire, but it is just about Oxfordshire, albeit quite deep. And I'm here today because of this map. This is the Adlestrop Railway Atlas. It's an extremely comprehensive and detailed map of all the current railways and, more importantly, all the disused and abandoned railways. It's been put together by a man called Richard, and any second now, because he promised to pick me up at 3 o'clock at Kingham, we're going to have a chat to him. In fact, we're going to have a choo-choo chat. I've met Richard Fairhurst.
Hello.
The designer of, what are you calling it?
The new Adlestrop Railway Atlas.
The new Adlestrop Railway Atlas. And you've brought me to the most amazing place. Where are we sat right now?
We are not sat in the station, although it looks like it. We are here at Adlestrop. Adlestrop used to have a railway station, closed in the Beeching era, so they took the station name board and transplanted it to the village bus shelter.
So we're sat at a bus stop, at a bus shelter.
Yep, I don't think there's going to be any buses. You know,
No.
This is rural England. We don't really get buses these days.
It's so rural England, we're not kidding. As we were setting up just now, somebody on a horse just like went by. It was, in a minute we'll get
That's the bus.
That
is actually the bus.
I was going to say a tractor. Might we get a tractor?
Yeah, or a really muddy 4x4, or actually maybe just a Chelsea tractor.
Or maybe someone on one of those, you know, all-terrain little bikes.
We will see bikes, but I'll tell you about the bikes in a minute.
Okay. So we're sat in Adlestrop bus shelter. So there was a disused... There's a station here on this line. That's now disused. And that straight away is going to lead me into a project which you started. When did you start it?
Oh, this was a long time ago. This was around about 2000 and something, early 2000s, I think.
And you woke up one morning and went, oh, there's no really good resource online that shows abandoned and disused railways. So I'll start one.
Yeah. Almost. I woke up one morning and I went to work, and work at the time was...
What's your job?
Well, now I'm a cartographer. Back then I was a magazine journalist.
Okay.
So I was working, I was deputy editor on a canal magazine, and I was getting the train into work one day, started feeling a bit funny somewhere between Oxford and Reading. You know, thinking, this isn't good, I'm feeling a bit tickly. By Reading, I'm feeling really terrible, so get off the train, head home. Turns out I'd got chicken pox. You're not meant to get chicken pox in your mid-20s, but I had done, because I'd never had it when I was a kid. I got diagnosed with chicken pox, and I was basically, because I was infectious, probably infected a whole HST of people on the way to Reading. Sorry about that. So I was at home for the next week, and I was just getting a bit bored. What shall I do? Oh, well, I had this old atlas, this old sort of road atlas more than anything else, which had gone out of copyright, which I'd found in a shop somewhere. And I just started tracing it and thought, I'll make a railway atlas out of this. And so I think the first ever one I did was, you know, just the area around here, just the lines around Oxfordshire. Uploaded that onto the internet. People seem to like it. And
this is 2001 internet. So this is before all social medias have kicked in.
Yeah.
This is like when everybody had their own blog.
We had, I think it's even before blogs, we had UK.railway, and that was the Usenet news group for discussing railways. Okay. And people would pop up and discuss things there, so I posted it there, and yeah, people seem to like it, and it's sort of slowly come on since then. Sometimes it sleeps for months, years at a time. Sometimes I'm ill and get have to do it again. But no, it comes on slowly.
So yeah, so at the moment there's on your website, which is on screen now at the bottom. What's it called? Systemd.
Systemd.net. Yeah.
The link will be there.
Excellent.
For free right now. People can go in and download. Is it like a megabyte big now? It's quite big, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
And it shows every current railway line in Great Britain or Northern Ireland as well?
So far it's just Great Britain and sort of south of Yorkshire.
Yes, so now, well, that's a contentious issue we'll get to in a minute, but it shows every current railway line and every disused and abandoned line, sort of greyed out, and all the stations.
Yep.
Anything else? What else does it show?
It's all the passenger lines that they've been.
Okay.
So, you know, you would go mad trying to chronicle every single freight siding. And it's, although I'm sure people have done, and it's, you know, it calls itself an atlas rather than a map. So it's small scale. It's meant to be a nice overview and something that looks inviting and direct rather than being the most completest thing of all railways ever. It's a user-friendly overview of what railways there are and what there used to be.
So over the years, you've slowly built this up, presumably
Yep.
from south, where you live,
Yep.
and you've worked throughout the country. Now, like
Yep.
I say, you've got around about Yorkshire, South Yorkshire.
Yes, yes.
You are going to keep on going, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to imagine that I'm an angry YouTube commentator. Why haven't you done Scotland yet? Uppercase rant. Why haven't you done Scotland yet, Richard?
Yeah, so I haven't got around to it. No, so there is a little secret here. Here you go. You get an exclusive for the day,
okay.
Which is to a certain extent I have. So something I've been doing over the past 6 months to a year is that I have been doing on my computer a big database of where all the stations were and where all the railway lines were. The Adlestrop Railway Atlas is done using a piece of software called Adobe Illustrator.
Yes.
And it's very cartographic. It's if I say it's a piece of art, that sounds pretentious, but you know, everything is drawn on. But the way that a lot of maps are done these days is using what's called GIS, Geographic Information Systems, which is you have a database with all the information in it, and then you press buttons and the computer draws a map from that database. And what I've been doing quietly over the last year or so is putting all the stations, all the railway lines on a database like that. So I've done all the research basically for Scotland, for Northern England, all of that, it's done. I just need to make it look nice, to move everything around, put it in the right place.
Okay.
So
So it is coming.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Okay.
Shall I show you?
You've brought something with you.
Yeah.
Is this a Geoff Tech YouTube channel exclusive?
Absolutely.
I didn't know you were going to. This is a surprise. I didn't know you were going to do this. I love the fact you've got like a leather holdall. I love it. I love it because you look like a university professor. All you need is.
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all week.
Well, you're not wearing like a shirt with what is it when they have like the elbow pads? What do you call them?
Oh yeah.
That's
yes.
No, you need a jacket with those on.
Yeah, I just wear them out. Okay, so this is Scotland. This
What?
is actual real
So
Scotland.
you've got actual. My goodness.
Yeah.
We'll have to show it to the camera in a second. Okay.
So you can see it's the Adlestrop colour scheme.
Yes.
So operational lines.
So this is
in
a draft
blue.
that you've been working on.
Yeah, so what you will notice about this is that it's accurate insofar as the stations are there, all the lines are in the right place and so on. What you'll find is that, you see you've got here station names that you can't read because they've been put over the railway line, and that's because the computer has done the label placement.
And then you've now got to painstakingly go through.
Exactly, yes, yeah,
Okay.
and make it look lovely.
So like how do you do your research? Where do you pull it in from? Like who actually draws the lines? How do you know that you're correct?
There's a question. So it's part of it is from old out of copyright maps because it's historic and because sadly not that many railway stations have opened in the last few years. Most of the information is there on out of copyright maps. The thing is, because stations came and went, you have to look through lots and lots of different eras of maps. You could just sort of go and copy, I don't know, 1930s map and you'd miss out a whole swathe of stations. So I use maps, I use old timetables. I've got quite a lot of big old timetable books which have got the details in, and there are you don't see them in the uploaded version, but there are hidden layers on my working copy of the Adlestrop map that say, this is timetable number 131. So if I want to double check something, I can go through to a particular edition of the timetable and see that's all in there.
Okay.
And of course, this wasn't the case when I started, but these days there is just so much research on the internet.
Sure.
Wikipedia has got pages on almost every. We saw it. It's got a page on Adlestrop Station. All of that.
You've got some more black and white diagrams down there. What else? What else are you teasing me with?
Well, so this is the sort of thing you might look at. So here we go. This is an old map of Adlestrop Station.
So where are we sat right now?
We're about there because it's a really detailed map.
Okay.
So
the station was just down the way.
Yes.
Is there anything left?
No.
Is there like a hump bridge over nothing?
On
the way here in the car, we drove a hump bridge over nothing.
Yeah, so that was on a branch line out to Shipping Norton. This is on a railway that's still there. The Cotswold line still goes through Adlestrop Station. Okay. It just doesn't stop there.
So Kingham's here and Morton Marsh is up.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
And this closed in the 60s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was one of the beaching cuts, I think.
Wow. Beaching.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What else you got there?
And this is this is just down the line. This is Kingham, and I picked you up from Kingdom Station.
It shows where the Chipping Norton line came in.
Yep, exactly. These great big sweeping curves.
Where have you got this from?
This I think is one of the National Library of Scotland's online maps. National Library of Scotland basically deserve to be sanctified for the great services they have done to British cartography. They have digitised huge amounts of old maps really, really well.
It's rather ironic you haven't done Scotland yet, and yet they're serving you. I just started pointing
That's very true. That's very true. Well, so one of the ways I got started with this was I've been involved for a long time in a project called OpenStreetMap, which
that on my list of things last night. I should point out that we have a mutual friend, my friend Jono, that I went to university with years ago, and he put me in touch. And last night I tweeted him, and he went, "Ask Richard, apart from maps, asking about OpenStreetMap, and asking about his obsession with cycling, because cycling kind of ties into maps and cartography."
It does. It does.
Like me, do you have a rack of OS maps on a shelf at home?
Yeah, I totally do. I have in particular. So this is completist, but I'm talking to the guy who did all the stations, so completist is not something that's going to get
Would
frowned
you describe
at
yourself as a completist? I'm obviously a completist.
Yeah,
okay, that's good.
So I have the complete set of the new popular edition, which was the Ordnance Survey maps published sort of around 1940s or so, the 1-inch maps that the OS published in the 1940s. And the reason why I have that is because around about the time when I was getting chickenpox and drawing maps and that sort of thing, this was the last set of OS maps to go out of copyright. So I went around second-hand bookshops, collected the lot, got them all scanned. This is before the National Library of Scotland had done all this. Got them all scanned and put them on the internet. And this became a really important source for OpenStreetMap, because since it was out of copyright, we could trace the rivers, we could trace all of this stuff and put it in OpenStreetMap.
For anyone that doesn't know what OpenStreetMap is, could you briefly explain?
Okay, so the phrase everyone uses, it's like Wikipedia but for maps.
Yes.
So it's a map that's made by people, made by anyone and everyone. You go along, like you do with Wikipedia, you click edit and you draw in the thing that is missing from the map. The great thing about OpenStreetMap versus Wikipedia is that we deal in facts, and we only deal in facts. So if we say that there is a bus shelter here and someone else comes along and says no there isn't, there is a really easy objective answer to that, which is yes there is, I've seen it, here it is. Wikipedia don't have that, because someone can come along and edit the page about Donald Trump purely, for example, and say he's an idiot, and someone comes along and says no he's great, and you get these great big edit wars. We haven't a solution to that.
It's not a subjective thing. You can somebody can actually go and visit the place you're talking about and see with their own eyes.
Yeah.
Or take a picture.
What's on the ground, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like a talk page then, like it was on Wikipedia, within OpenStreetMap, where these things get discussed?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of you can make comments on other people's edits and things like that. And it's this massive community. I mean, it basically started 2004 with a small. I sort of joined up a few months into the project.
Is there a forum or Reddit or where you talk?
There's a subreddit. There's
a subreddit on OpenStreetMap.
Yep,
I did not know
absolutely.
That. How many are in the OpenStreetMap community then?
Oh. I mean, the number of signed up users is in the millions now. Because it's the world. It covers the entire world. There are only 4 map databases basically that cover the whole world.
Hang on, so it's not a tractor, but it is a Range Rover Discovery.
It's quite a shiny one.
I feel like didn't have enough mud.
No.
On the mud guards. Okay, we've had 2 dogs and now a Discovery. We will get a tractor before.
We will. Promise.
So. Millions of people contributing to OpenStreetMap. Yeah, but how many, like yourself, you're like a senior Open OSM editor? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we don't. It's quite an anarchic project in its way, so you don't get badges and stuff like you do in Wikipedia. Okay. But I've been around for ages, and
do people know your name?
Yeah.
So within the OSM community, it's that Richard Fairhurst.
Yeah. So for about sort of 5-6 years or so, when you went and clicked edit on the website, it opened a bit of software which I wrote.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a programmer as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything you don't do involving maps, Richard? You'll say okay, and then presumably this pertains to your love of cycling.
Yeah.
So you like to probably get out and cycle strange paths and weird places and off the beaten track.
OpenStreetMap has a really strong correlation with cycling. It has quite a strong correlation with rail fans as well, to be honest. It's all about the enthusiasts and the completists, because you've got to be slightly doolally in the head to want to go and spend your weekends surveying housing estates and then plotting them on a website. That's not a normal thing to do.
Is that what you do?
No, fortunately, because I think I did that about once or twice and I found it quite boring. So
Okay.
I like to go and do the cycle paths and the railways and that sort of thing because that's more fun. It got to a certain point, it must have been, I suppose, around 2010 or so, when I'd always religiously taken my little handheld GPS receiver places so that I could survey it if it wasn't on OpenStreetMap. And I went on holiday in China. And in China, you're not allowed to do surveying, basically, because the Chinese government is really strict on controlling flow of information.
There's no Google, there's no Street View in China, is there? There's not.
No. There's none in Germany, but they're big on privacy. But yeah, China. So
Hang on, stop the press.
Yeah.
What? There's no Street View in Germany?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think there's about 5 roads before they got driven out by angry Germans. Yeah, because
Really?
the Germans are really, really big on online privacy.
Gosh.
And having Google going around taking photos of
Is that a good thing? Do you approve, or do you sort of think, well...
Google's a bit scary. I mean, you know. So slightly surreptitiously, I had my little handheld Garmin, and I sort of put it in my back pocket.
Naughty.
I know, we were out on sleeper trains because going around China on sleeper trains is much more fun than flying everywhere by plane, and so I would go to sleep and put the GPS in the window so that it would get these, because the Chinese are just building railway lines like there's no tomorrow, so this was all great. Anyway, I got home really proud of all this stuff I'd surreptitiously
You had your
recorded.
traces? Or
Yeah, exactly, all my traces.
Is it a .tpx or something? What is it?
GPX.
GPX,
Yeah,
okay.
something like
There's another one, like a KML or something?
Yeah. So you're good at this one.
I don't know what the difference is between a KML and a GPX. We'll save that for later. If we run out of things to talk
That's
about.
tangent number 9.
Okay, that's one tangent. Go on.
So
you had your trace files.
and I came and uploaded them all to OpenStreetMap, and I was about to draw over them to put the footpaths and all this stuff on that hadn't been mapped, except it had been mapped already by Germans. German guys who'd gone on holiday to China and gone to the same obscure places I'd been and had mapped the same
Hang on,
places.
but the same Germans who presumably don't like, with their privacy laws, don't allow Google to come in with Street View. There is Google Maps of Germany.
Yes.
Hang on, I'm getting over this. There's really no street map of anywhere in Germany.
And Germany, they love OpenStreetMap. They absolutely do. The OpenStreetMap of Germany is far and away the best of any place in Britain. Any place in the world. But yeah, they just don't like Street View.
Okay. What other railway maps do you like? For example, I've got this big thing about. I always hark on about. There was the paper fold out. They called it the National Rail Timetable Map, which they last printed in 2013, and I miss it dreadfully.
Did I send you my updated version of that? Somebody, I think, on railforums.co.uk was saying exactly the same as you. This is a terrific map.
Yeah.
It's such a shame it's not updated. There's a PDF somewhere you can download of the 2013 version. And I thought, well, how hard can it be? So I downloaded it, opened it in Illustrator, and added the stations on, like the new Bista chords and things like that.
I think I've seen that.
Okay.
I don't mean of this offensively, but the font isn't quite the same, is it?
Damn, no.
Is that you?
It is, yeah.
So you made the 2014 the updated version of it?
I'm going to get in trouble for copyright now, aren't I? But I just did an unofficial samizdat version with, things like the new chord at Bista and Bista town crossed out and village written over the top.
Up in Edinburgh, where it goes down to, oh my God, I can't think what it's called.
Yeah, the Borders, Waverley Line.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. That was you?
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a nice map, I agree. It's really clear. And that's kind of what I like. I'm always like the maps that, emphasise clarity over absolute completism. And it's always interesting.
Hang on, no, I'm going to stop you right there. Sorry. Clarity versus completism. Gosh, surely the ideal world is to have both.
Oh, totally.
Is that always possible?
So the way that people look at maps has kind of changed with the internet, because with the internet you can always zoom in more, so you can be complete on the internet. Okay, I can't see this particular station, zoom in a bit more, pinch to zoom, and ultimately it appears. When you're working on a fixed scale with sort of paper cartography, PDFs, whatever it might be, you can't do that. So you have to have this, what's called process of generalization, which is moving things around, making them slightly away from the truth so that they look clearer.
Do you think your Adlestrop Atlas is perfection?
No. Oh no, definitely not. There never is. Never is.
Have you found errors? Yeah. Did people email in with errors?
Oh yeah,
going,
totally.
Oh, you've spelt like what?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the most. So this was a bit of a flaw in my methodology. So the most recent sort of creeping northwards that I did, I explained earlier that I tend to use historical sources because not many not many stations have opened in the last how many years, so you can use historical maps. And generally I can remember, or I know about the ones that have opened, or, you know, there's like a handy Wikipedia page of recent station openings, that sort of thing, which is fine, except I forgot Manchester Airport. So I put the new.
Did you have angry Mancunians messaging you going?
Yeah. I think it was Manchester Airport.
So what happened? So you put in a style and then you didn't do the little curve around.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is daft because my wife comes from South Manchester, so you know I should know these things. But hey.
Now you're telling me on the drive here, and just while we were setting up, you've actually had who uses your map, because. There's we have a sort of a common friend in Paul Whitewick, and Paul, I forget your good lady's name. They're the lovely people that are doing the disused series on YouTube, and he got in touch to say, "Can I use your map?" Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah, totally. But it does absolutely stagger me how many people use it. You know, I get emails from people in Network Rail or train operating companies saying, you know, I use your map and I find it really useful. Which, you know, I'm.
So there's no licensing on this. There's no copyright. What's your fair usage policy?
It's copyright me, and I would be cross if I went down to WH Smith's and found someone who'd put it in a book and was selling it for 15 quid. So it's not open source in that sense.
I better cancel that idea then.
But I tend to be liberal with letting people use it.
Am I allowed to use like screen caps in my video?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
You've got that on video. That's like
there you go. Should we sign something?
But I think when I've done it before, once or twice, I think I've always put a link in.
Yeah.
I made a video about what maps I use, and one of them was mentioning your map.
Indeed, yeah.
I think that's why our friend Jono then said, well, you should go and talk to Richard, so that's probably off the back of that happened.
I live in a little place called Charlbury, which is about 10 miles down the line that way, and Charlbury is quite special in that it's a bit of a railway place, basically. The town has a population of 3,000 people, which is not big, and our passenger numbers at the station every year are 300,000, which, you know, that ratio is pretty unheard of.
I feel like I'm doing a least used station. I should divide 300,000 by 365. How many a day is that? Do you know what the approximate?
Oh, well, it'll be just under 1,000 a day, won't it? So
a third of the population of Charlbury take the train every day.
It's
to Oxford, to London.
It's a bit more than that, because it's a bit of a railhead for the wider area. So it's not just people.
So people
from
drive
Charlbury.
in.
And this car. But still, so many people from Charlbury use the train. It's, you know, it really is just part of what you do. And you know, it takes 15 minutes on the train to get to Oxford. It takes about 45, half an hour to drive, and then you've got to park and all of that sort of thing. So the train makes sense. So
probably a lot of people that work in Oxford get the train.
Get
the train from Charlbury.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
But so that means, you know, bringing up a 2-year-old somewhere like that, you're going to take him on the train. It's just what you do.
Why did you call your map then the Adlestrop Atlas and not the Charlbury Atlas?
So
what's going on?
So Adlestrop is kind of this symbol of rural railways, basically.
Are we going to mention the poem here?
We are.
Okay. So this is the big. In case you're sat at home thinking they haven't mentioned the poem yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell us about the poem.
Adlestrop, a poem by Edward Thomas, who's best known as a First World War poet. He wrote this lovely sort of evocation of rural railways. Based on a trip he took on the Cotswold line at a particular time before the First World War. He was, you know, caught up in the moment and wrote a poem about it. And so that's kind of why all of this is preserved, because Adlestrop has this lovely significance for rural stations, and here is the poem.
Shall we do it a verse at a time?
Go on.
Would you like to go first, or
okay.
shall I?
I'll start. Yes, I remember Adlestrop. The name, because one afternoon of heat the express train drew up there unwontedly. It was late June.
The steam hissed. Someone cleared his throat. No one left and no one came. On the bare platform what I saw was Adlestrop, only the name.
And willows, willow herb and grass, and meadow sweet and haycocks dry. No whit less still and lonely fair than the high cloudlets in the sky.
And for that minute a blackbird sang, close by and round him mistier. Farther and farther all the birds of Oxfordshire and Gloucestershire. Edward Thomas, 1878 to 1917. So he was how old when he died?
20,
like 30,
39, is
39,
that?
40,
Yeah.
40, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Died presumably in the First World War.
Battle of Arras, I believe.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. And they put that here on the bench.
Yeah.
Along with the sign. Wow. That's nice.
It's quite lovely. And So partly calling this the new Adlestrop Railway Atlas was because, you know, I love the whole rural railway thing. I love poking around old closed lines, and this sort of symbolises it all, really. And, you know, it's also, there should be more Adlestrops. There should be more little rural places with stations. We're very lucky living in a small town where we can get the train and go places. More places should be like that. You know, there are plenty of towns of 10, 20,000 that don't have a railway station. We're lucky to have one. So there you go. I'm waxing all poetic about rural
No,
railways.
you've suddenly made me feel sort of a bit poignant and and sentimental, and I want more old branch lines that are disused to pop up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want more of your grey on your map to turn blue again.
Yes, and it is quite nice on the rare occasion that I get to do that, where something has reopened.
When did that last happen? I guess on the up in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
I can't remember, what's the name of that line?
So the Borders line, the Waverley line.
But where's it go to?
It goes down to Galashiels and places like that, I think.
But what's the last...
What's the last? Is it? Ooh.
I've been there, and suddenly it's gone blank from my mind. Okay, we all know the one we're talking about.
We do.
Okay.
We do.
It reopened up, what, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah. And it should reopen all the way through to Carlisle. But you know, good luck with that, sadly.
So there was a moment where you had to colour that from grey to blue.
Well, that was on my. Because I haven't done Scotland yet, famously, so that was on my working copy. But I have it on my. I think the last change.
Somewhere in Wales.
Yes, Evervale would probably do it. And then you've got the one down through
where the airport is.
Yes,
because it only went to Barry.
The back way to Bridgend, basically.
The back way round. Yeah, that was about 11 years ago. I think maybe.
And there's new stuff as well. So you've got the Cord at Bicester. That's new. I think I just recently.
When Chiltern trains now go to Oxford. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And Worcestershire Parkway is just about to open.
Has that started work yet? Do you know?
Oh, I mean, yeah, the station is pretty much there.
Richard, tell us about what progress is being made. So Worcestershire,
the trains zoom through insofar as anything zooms on the Cotswold line, but they do go through, and you can see.
Well, no,
all
it's
the
where
buildings.
cross country crosses the Cotswold.
Exactly,
it's going to be like an interchange station.
Yes.
Is it going to be like a high level, low level thing?
Yeah.
Wow,
although I think cross country are a bit sniffy about stopping there, so you know.
But the whole point is to let you interchange with cross country services.
Yeah, I think Worcestershire County Council have basically put it there on the film Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come. If I put a train station here, trains will stop. And cross country have said, "Oh, do we have to?" So they're stopping some of them there, but not all. But it'll come in time.
Really? What, they'll do a thing where like every other one skips or something?
I think they're going to stop. They're stopping the Nottingham to Cardiff trains, but they're not stopping the Voyagers or something like that.
Goodness.
I don't know. But and slight, another slight tangent, but I'm not sure how many people from Worcester are going to use it, because Worcester to Birmingham, as it stands, is really, really cheap. The fares are set by West Midlands Railway, and it's kind of like one of the cheapest intercity small I, small C journeys you can do. Right. Cross country have never seen a fare that they didn't want to price through the roof. So you know you're going to be faced with the choice of going into Worcester from the old station and paying not much, or going to the new one and paying lots.
I don't want to upset anyone at cross country, but I'm doing a trip to Chesterfield soon, and
should we have a whip round?
as a smart a person that likes to split his ticket, the most expensive part of my fare is the cross country part. Yeah. Gosh. Okay, I'm going to check the time. This is very unprofessional. We're going to check because I feel like we've been chatting for like half an hour. We've done 33 minutes. I'm going to edit something out. This is the point where you can look at the camera now, Richard. Plug your map. Plug your website. How do you want people to give you feedback?
Totally.
So
I'm also terrible at replying to emails. So if you do send me a correction,
this has taken months to set up. It's like he never replies to my emails. It's like I'm sorry.
Sorry. It's not offensive.
You're busy now. I get
Yeah. Have a look at the map, systemd.net/Carto, and if you systemd.net/Atlas. So that's one is sort of a portfolio, and the other is this one in particular. Something else that might be worth mentioning is just behind the camera, so you can't see it. Can you see, Geoff, a little blue sign over there?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a cycle route sign.
Yes.
And that's something else I do. So I'm a volunteer for Sustrans, the National Cycle Network charity.
Plug that as well.
Brilliant. Okay, so we set up a cycle route about 5 years ago, which is called the Cotswold Line Cycle Route, and basically it follows the railway. It goes on little windy lanes from Hamborough Station to Honeybourne Station over to Worcester, and it's sort of the idea is that you can have a nice bike ride in the lovely Cotswolds and go one way. At the end of your ride, stop at the station, put your bike on the train,
Wow.
get the train
So,
home. So
there's a website as well with that.
yeah, or go to the Sustrans website, or you can go to a website I run, which is called cycle.travel,
Yes.
which is a mapping and route planning website for bikes. That's kind of what I spend lots of my time doing these days.
Okay.
It's a bike route planning
When you're
website.
not busy being a family man and doing your day job and,
Yep.
and doing the Adlestrop Atlas.
Yeah, I'm playing the church organ, which was what I was doing before I came to see you.
Which is
So-
literally like, he was late. I was like, I've just come from the church, Geoff. Sorry. This has been amazing. I feel like we could chat for longer. I do
Yeah,
try to
all
keep
good
this. I do try to keep this to half an hour. All the links are in the description. Richard, you've been a delight. Thank you. Your map is amazing.
Thank you very much.
Please keep doing it. And yeah, love the railways.
Great stuff, and there will be more stuff to come as and when, with the usual erratic schedule, but there's some good things happening with the Adlestrop map, so yeah, watch this space.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.